the call. First of all, I want to welcome all of you. This is our first Gaiaville online meeting for 2016. Welcome all of you. Troopers who are always present to all of the meetings. Love you. We were talking about the storm that hit New York City yesterday and the sense of serenity and calm that I felt that it provided the city, as if it washed the city with this some sort of like Aesop, this white thing that brought a lot of serenity and calm in an otherwise excited and unsteady vibration. We're going to be talking today about mindfulness and presence in a turbulent world. And this kind of conversation lends itself through this. Right now, and it's not just climate change, although that's a major part of it. There's a lot of instability that people are becoming aware of related to the fact that the weather is doing all kind of very strange stuff. Up to 3 weeks ago, we were in the 60s. We had cherry trees that were blossoming. Okay? So very strange. Daffodils are coming up. Very strange. First week of January, you have daffodil that are still, as if it was spring. And so the thing about it is that instability unravels everybody, because once the cycles of change, it causes everyone to wonder what kind of other instability is going to be created and within us, we begin to wonder what it is inside of us that is also shifting and moving. The same way externally things are shifting and are unsteady, whereas boundaries were very defined, boundaries are now in flux. What is it inside of us that's also in flux and changing? Right? I am finding that a lot of individuals right now, I blogged about this, and I put a couple of posts on Facebook about this. This to me is probably the most outstanding thing that I have seen in the past 5 years doing spiritual work. The fact that I realized, and it kind of happened accidentally, because people reach out to me when they're in trouble. I had 5 former clients and students and acquaintances actually who reached out to me asking for help because they were in sheer panic, and this happened in 24 hours. Okay, none of them knew each other. It just happened. And what was interesting is that I was the last one, the 5th one, was so distraught, having a panic attack, that I had to tell her to go to the hospital. Okay, because I couldn't handle it. I was on my way to a class in Long Island, and I'm like, I can't handle it. You have to go to the hospital, which she did, to receive some care and have somebody calm you down, get some medication to get your head out of this, the jitters that you're having. And I'm realizing, and funny enough, I had a different topic I was going to teach you this class. Then when I walked in, I said, okay, God, literally minutes before I walked into the door, this is now tagging me. And I was thinking about all these people anyway. Let me talk to the class about it. And the moment I did, the class had 8 people in them, and all of them kind of told me that they've been feeling it. One woman said to me, since last week I wrote you an email, it's still in my draft folder. I didn't want to sound weird. That's the reason why I didn't send it. But it's there, it's my draft folder. Another woman who is well off, nice family, everything in appearance is perfect. Nice house, traveled extensively, well off, and there is no reason on the external world there should be any discontent. she tells me that since September of 2014, my situation is so severe that I'm now taking medication. The depression is so deep. And what it is, it's basically an identity crisis. And it has to do with the fact that a lot of us are not or sensing that there is a shift. Okay? Mm-hmm. Something in our core is telling us things are changing. And we don't know what that landscape, that future landscape looks like. Mm-hmm. We know where we are, and we know what we are doing no longer works. There is no security in terms of what that future landscape is going to look like. And this is where people, I was doing a class this morning, my counsel, in the advanced class, and one person from South America, she was calling it, what did she call it? She says, you're in the Western world, you plan far ahead in the future. You have like a map, you know, by the time I'm 30, I should be this, I should be married and have children by this age, I should have this, I'm going to retire at 65 and I should have X, Y, Z. And she said, in South America, we have very little. And we don't plan long-term like this. And what I said to her is that I don't believe it's about, you're saying it's long-term planning. I don't think this is long-term planning. I think it's the fact that we are constantly trying to be perfect according to an external standard. We are constantly trying to match some sort of outside perception of where we should be and how we should be. We allow the external world to project standard onto us and to tell us where we should be, how we should be, and how much money we should be making, how our children should be behaving. And you can go on and on and on and make yourself crazy. And of course, the people who are A-type personalities, who are the perfectionists, move to actually try to create this. And they are probably the one that will suffer the most through this transition, because they are the one that cannot take instability well. They are the one that are trying constantly to make sure they both hands are on the rein very steadily, and they are in control and in charge. The key to actually moving through this transition is to actually surrender control. It's the exact reverse. You have to let go. You have to allow yourself to accept the fact that, what is the third step of AA says? That recognize that the addiction, and I'm paraphrasing, I don't remember exactly what it says, but something to the effect of recognize that the addiction is greater than me. And I surrender it to my higher power to solve. So it's the idea of you letting go and realize you're not in charge. And that whatever that problem is, you have to let it go. You have to give it to that higher power and ask the higher power to help you. And the more sincere and true this help is, the more it comes from the deepest level of your soul, the quicker the universe will respond to you. And the response sometimes does not come like all of a sudden you don't have the need for whatever XYZ, but it gives you, it's almost like a signpost, go left. Something happens where within minutes or hours you begin to realize the universe is listening to me, because that connection or that synchronicity would have never occurred had it not been for the fact that I actually surrendered. And that's the direction I should be going into, right? And so I'm very cognizant of that. And one of the things that happened with all of so in less than 48 hours, I had 17 people who admittedly were struggling with this. And so when I actually connected to spirit and I asked and I looked at the ether of the planet, I realized there was a giant tsunami. All of it, this sense of this kind of identity crisis. And I'm saying this because I do feel somebody would then ask me on Facebook, is it being caused by fallen energies and dark energies who are trying to feed off the fear that we may be registering? No, I don't think that's where it's coming from. Indeed, there are lots of parasitical energies that are actually feeding off of this, for certain. But it is not the reason why the crisis is happening. The crisis is happening because we are crossing a region of our galaxy that will allow us to be aligned directly with the light from the galactic core called the nameless light. And it is this alignment to this light that's actually the reason for the crisis. Because this crossing and this alignment, this frequency of that light is about truth, transparency, and authenticity. And if you are not being truthful, if you are not being transparent, and if you're not authentic, you're going to have a major dissonance. There's going to be like a giant rift, a disconnection. Now, this is not, interestingly enough, in the landscape of what the 17 people I talked about, it's not just my student. And I'm going to give you an example. There's a woman that I know, I met her once to another friend who's closer to her. She was a major coach in California. She's not even 50. Okay, she was married, doing extremely well, charging beaucoup buck, like $500 an hour for the kind of business coaching that she was doing. Okay, signing clients for programs that were easily for less than a month, less than 2 months, or $10,000. So she was making a lot of money. I don't know what happened because my friends who told me the news said she had not spoken to her in a couple of months, which sometimes happen with them because she's in the East Coast. You know, my friend is in the East Coast, she's in the West Coast. They typically talk to each other once every 2 months or so, something like that. She got the news that her friend, the coach, killed herself. Okay? And I was totally shocked because from the appearance, it looked like she got herself completely together. This really kind of like startled me. Now this happened in October. Then I got together with my friend again in December. She said to me, "You will never believe what happened." I said, "So what happened?" Well, her mother now committed suicide in December because she was so distraught out of the death of what for her was a shining star. So what I'm saying is that there is a wave that's going out there, and people who are not able to resolve that dissonance, to find that authentic core and align themselves in the right way, or can be easily pushed to take extreme decisions. And I'm so glad that I told this client of mine, go to the hospital, go seek professional help. So if you have somebody in your life that are telling you they have suicidal thought, take them to the hospital. Don't waste your time. Okay? Because this is for real. Even if they claim, you know, I don't want to do this force, because the moment somebody threatens is saying that I either want to kill myself or I want to kill you. If you call the police will arrest them and force them into treatment. Okay? Even if they hate you, doesn't matter. What you're doing is for their own good. They need to be supervised, and you do not have the skill set to provide that care. As a friend, as a family member, you're not a mental health professional. I learned this because I have a lot of people in my family that are mentally ill. This is something I learned very early. You're not the mental health professional. No matter how much you love them, when there's a moment of crisis, you call the police for help. Okay? And really, when they come back from the hospital, they hate you. Because they think that they could have handled it by themselves. They hate you for a while. But ultimately, you know in your heart you did this to save them. Because a lot of times they don't want to hear it. I can handle it. I can handle it. But a lot of times it's not true. Right? So what I'm asking you to do now may appear on some level a little bit harsh, but it really is not harsh. It's you actually being a loving friend or a loving family member. Right? Let's talk for a moment why this authenticity is like becoming an issue. The authentic core is really connected to you being in. What is the authentic core? It's really a summation of all the experiences that you have had since you cascading from source outside of time and space. Now, because of all of the weird, strange synchronicities, a lot of people already are feeling. I describe this because I had it personally, but mine happened 9 years ago. Okay, my identity crisis happened 9 years ago. When I still was working at my old job, it was a voice that would come to me and would whisper to me, "You're a fraud. You're lying." And this is while I'm doing my work. And of course, this used to startle me to no end. And I'm like, and it was so clear. The voice was so clear. Somebody had asked me this morning, do you think that was the voice of a negative astral entities? No, that was actually a voice of God telling me you're being untrue. This was not a voice telling me to kill myself. It was simply telling me that what you're doing is not your purpose. You know this to be true. And I did. And this is what scared me, is that voice was being, I knew that voice was right. And it got louder and louder, and eventually I had to exit. I had to figure out a way to get out. And so, having had that experience, I feel that I can help individuals who are progressing or experiencing this at this time. Because there is a way to actually respond to this. And I didn't do it insane. I didn't wake up one morning and say, I'm not going to work, and I quit. I prepared. I liquidated my debt. All the credit card, I paid them off. I prepared. Mm-hmm. I created a saving. I had a plan. Because if I had to do it in a way that will allow me to still pay the bills. Right? Mm-hmm. And it took me a while to do it, something like 3 years. And when I got to it, I'm like, okay, now I'm ready. I'm done. Okay. Now, the thing with all of us and this idea of being mindful. Mindfulness is not just about meditation, but it's about, although of course a meditative practice is part of it. All of you meditate. All of you spend time going internal and you pray to God and all of that. But it's the idea of you maintaining an even keel throughout all of the tumultuous experiences that are happening around you. Are you able to manage to hold yourself in a sense of serenity and peace and do what is needed and necessary without losing it completely? There are lots of things that sometimes Spirit tell me to do I think is insane. Okay? You all know I'm renovating my house upstate into a healing center. And then when Spirit told me, take all your money out of your 401k and spend the money renovating the house. And I did it. People thought I was insane. Look at what's happening to the stock market right now. The value that I had would have been plummeted by half, if not wiped out. I had another friend of mine, like in December, she lost 75% of the value she had on stocks. She was wiped out. Talking about instabilities. And you know the interesting thing, because she's a spiritual person, it's her long-term partner that actually lost all of the money. She said, Pierre, I have an incredible sense of relief and of calm that is unsteady. She said, I have enough money for the next 3 months. I don't know what's going to happen after that. But I am completely calm. She said, there is an unusual calmness that I have. I don't know why this is the case. And she said her partner, who was not listening to her, because she kept saying, get out, for months, because she's highly intuitive. She's a powerful, she kept saying, no, but he didn't want to listen. He cried, he felt defeated, there was somehow that bottom changed him. And she felt that this had to happen in order for him to be in a different place. The both of them are going to therapy together right now to try to work all of this out. So it created a doorway, whereas he was resisting before, he didn't want to do it. How are you going to handle the crises that are in front of you, or the future crises that are coming? Are you able to see the higher lessons that are hidden in what appears to be a crisis? To my mind, this is what mindfulness is. Now, I'm talking off. I want to open and ask you what your thoughts are about mindfulness. Just
Diana needs to unmute herself so she can answer that.
Yes. Just share with me any ideas that you know, how does mindfulness participate? How are you mindful in your life right now? How are you handling your crisis? Are you able to handle your situation in a calmer manner, or do you feel that there are parts of your life that are not kept together that could be better? I mean, there's no right or wrong answer. It's just a rhetorical question.
Well, this is my approach to what we face today. I do whatever work I can do on myself, internally, spiritually. I take whatever action I can take, and the rest I keep my heart open for the universe to show me miracles, or to show me solutions that I would have never thought of, because my limited concept of how it should be would limit the universe in being able to release a much better and more complete resolution. So I think along with the class that we just finished on emotional intelligence, trying to keep very open, neutral, and I guess that keeps me in a more even keel than otherwise.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else?
Well, I've just been sort of taking down some notes, Pierre, as you were speaking. And you and I have spoken on the topic of mindfulness and kind of, I don't know, I guess comparing notes and ideas about what the new order of things that we might be moving into could look like. And I follow a similar approach to Janice in terms of emphasizing the inner work, and I think that's key. That's very important. And what I find is that doing that inner work tends to lead me to resources and connections that help to bring clarity. I'm getting a lot of static on the line.
Yeah, moving.
I don't know where that's coming from. It looks like Ursula is, okay, she muted. Okay. And so some of the ideas that that I'm implementing in the work I'm doing with peace growers, because we're taking a very project-oriented approach, and so that creates opportunities to have a larger field of leaders, and because each project can potentially have the same people and different people playing different roles and sharing in the leadership and whatnot. And there are examples of other organizations that have been successfully using more of a, I guess what would be called a distributed, decentralized leadership model. And I find that these types of approaches are very much in alignment with my feelings about just interpersonal relationships in general, like what I think works moving forward, more of an emphasis on compassion and collaboration and communication. And it's probably because I'm emphasizing that and thinking about that a lot, but it just seems like everybody's talking about that, these new ways of interacting and doing business and that type of thing. When I hear you, Pierre, talking about the, crises and chaos, I'm a student of Barbara Marx Hubbard and the sort of evolutionary, the intentional process of evolution, human evolution. And I think it's very interesting. Barbara says that the chaos is a precursor of evolution, and that we're kind of in a place in time as a species where we have the opportunity to be participants in the evolutionary process, that we can use this chaos as a springboard for, as the old ways are falling apart, those of us who are intentionally training ourselves to resist moving into a fear paradigm or staying in a fear paradigm, as the case may be, that we are the ones who are going to be stepping out and showing the way for everyone else. So I think that, Pierre, everything that you teach from the Ascension process and many things I'm sure that I haven't had an opportunity to participate in, but when you talk about self-mastery and you talk about the inner work, that this stuff is real. And this is people that are doing what we're doing are really adding to the consciousness of the planet. And the old ways aren't working anymore. And this is what's supposed to be happening. The instability is what's supposed to be happening, so that the next way that's going to be a world that works for everyone can, evolve. So those are just some of the things that I guess came up for me listening to you speak. So thank you. And hi, Ursula.
change my setup so you can see me, because I typically use monitor. Hi, nice to see you again. So I want to kind of follow up on the point that you made, Diane. Mm-hmm. It's Pierre had said that in his Sunday classes that there will be there will be so much in between, but you choose you're on this side or you're on that side. And I think that's why we're seeing like the Trump and now the Sanders, side by side, because these are the two extremes and nothing in the middle seems to be working anymore, because you really got to choose what you stand for. And so that's a perfect example to what Pierre has been teaching for at least 6 months now, if not longer. And also for myself, and maybe Janice has some insight, or Pierre or yourself, as I've been meditating last 3 days, it's been pretty intense energy-wise, and I keep seeing the alignment of the planets. I believe on the 26th we'll be able to see all the 4 planets together on the horizon. Mm-hmm. And I keep seeing it, and I try to read a little bit about it, and what I gathered was that it's about being one mind, and it's more about air energies and mind energies. So there is the social movement that's happening, and the separating the wheat from the chaff that Pierre was talking about actually about a long time ago. And then maybe personally within, there's something that it's now time to unify your bodies. That's why we're so blessed with the last meditation that we had with Pierre. I don't know if it was a Monday class or Sunday class, where we started doing the Dantian work on to all our bodies, including the Atmic body and the Buddhic body. So that's absolutely beautiful, and just shows how timely Pierre's work is for us to that's the unifying process. And maybe authenticity, I would imagine, plays a big part, if having that one mind as the way I understand it, having it as all the bodies working together for one purpose. Mm-hmm. So those are my observations.
Wow. I don't know what to say. I'm kind of speechless. You're all so brilliant.
Well, that's only because we have a brilliant teacher.
I bow down to all of you.
We only, as you know how they say, your workers are only as good as their manager.
Wow, I'm truly flabbergasted over the fact that you mastered so much, and you so eloquently spoke about the topic at hand. And I have to say to you that sometimes being an intuitive and trying to follow spirit can sound like you're completely off the wall. But since I crossed that barrier a long time ago, there's no safety for me. I just keep flying. And I'm always surprised, pleasantly, I should say, that spirit is proving me right. Because sometimes I do things and I sound really insane. I sound complete, because it goes against anything that normally you would do. Everyone else is saying, well, why would you ever be doing something like this? Why would you take all of your money out of the stock market? Why would you, things of that nature that no one else would actually think of doing. Now, for me, I love what you were all saying, and more specifically relating to the fact that this idea of crisis, this idea of the concept that in order for you to evolve, the chaos has to exist. I love what you said just there, because the way I see it, I use different words, but it's the same concept. The idea is holding a facade of perfection, as opposed to allow the inner weaknesses and insecurities, the inner fear to actually be visible, allowing that inner fragility to be expressed on the outside. And I'm at a place now in my life where I don't have a problem. Yes. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I see it now. I see your note. Yes. Birthing pain. Right. Exactly. So the inner intelligence, this idea of you have to show the vulnerability, you have to show the fragility. If you cannot express that fragility in that, take for a moment, and this is interesting because the concept of ascension, when you think about it from a surface point of view, one would think ascension is a state of perfection. And therefore, a lot of us move to try to emulate the life of a saint or holy person or an avatar. Okay? We want to become Buddha-like, Krishna-like, Jesus-like, we want to become like these very, very high-level frequency individuals. And in the process of doing this, we disconnect in us to any feeling of what is uncomfortable or that may appear negative. Because we want to become positive, we want to become the light. And we think that's lower frequency. But a lot of us, when we are doing this, we are actually suppressing and repressing things that are actually key part of the ascension process. Because you cannot ascend by simply trying to emulate higher frequencies. And some of these higher frequencies, for example, through the true level of charity or service, or the true level of empathy that you need to become an ascended master, is an abstraction. It's a mental abstraction to all of us. We have no emotional or visceral space to hold it because none of us ever experienced it. So for you to think that you can arrive at it by just trying to intellectually get to it is a joke. Okay? It's Kafkaesque. It's insane. When in fact what you really should be doing is to connect to the pain, the inner pain and the suffering that you're feeling inside. The stuff that are uncomfortable, the stuff that are making you feel, I'm very vulnerable, I am afraid of, and then fill in the blank. Because we all have something we're afraid of. Okay? And whatever that something is, this is where you need to start. The acknowledgement of the feeling. And the moment you acknowledge it and you know where it is, because what you resist persists. And I will go even further. What you resist becomes bigger. It becomes like an avalanche. And it will find a toxic way to come back into your life because whatever is suppressed and subconscious will actually unravel your conscious path. It will try to hijack it. It's better for you to get whatever content that's subconscious and repressed, bring it into the light voluntarily. This is what my teacher used to say when he says, you rather learn by grace than learn by karma. You bring it voluntarily to the surface and you deal with all of the underlying and associated issue that has caused you the pain and the suffering. And whatever these situations are in that chaos, in that whatever term you want to use it, I call it imperfection. You suddenly realize that because you're imperfect, there's room to grow. You can evolve. Because if you hold a state of perfection, that's a done deal, you can't grow. You shut yourself off. So it is in the vulnerability that true power exists. It is in the vulnerability that you can actually allow yourself to expand and to grow. Thus the vulnerability become an impetus to move forward. Because if you don't have any weaknesses, everything is perfect, everything is fabulous, and you got it together, then okay, fine. Go sit at the top of the mountain with the clouds and the birds. And we will be down here doing the real work. Okay? No, seriously, because if you had it all together, then go sit, go in that rarefied air that you exist in. And there are people who have convinced themselves that they are there. And I call these individuals, the term that I use for them is that they are experiencing false ascension. Because it's not real ascension. It's some intellectual bubble that they're existing in. There is a great little Greek tragedy book that was a comedy book that was written by Aristophanes called The Clouds. And I read it when I was in college. It was hysterical. It's about this guy who thinks he's ascended with the gods. And he's in the clouds, and and in his entire life is chaos all around him. And he's completely blinded to the fact that, and literally a very clever little, it's a comedy. So it's tongue in cheek. The whole thing is written, and I read it in English lit class. And I remember cracking up like in tears because I was doing spiritual work. So I had met people like that thought that they were so together. And I remember this one girl who thought that she had it all together, and she was so, she would walk around and try to bless people and with her hand throw light at them and doing all kind of really cuckoo like what behavior, I remember one time we were going to a temple, and the guardian at the temple had to say to her, "You can't go in like this." She left her house wearing this kind of see-through sheer outfit, and she was completely naked, and you could see right through her. She took the street this way. She took the train that way. This is how in the clouds that she was. She didn't notice that she was half naked. And so, again, if you think you're that perfect and you have it and everything is so there for you, then you're experiencing false ascension. It's not real ascension. It is not that you should not follow the life of the ascended and follow the higher teaching of any elevated masters. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that both needs to happen. You need to also be connected, because the only way you can really ascend is if you take the festering emotions and the stuff that are not working for you, the stuff that are tripping you. If you can acknowledge them, the part of your life that are not working, the stuff that you're looping, that you're repeating over and over again, the mistakes that keep coming back like an echo over and over again. These are the things that you need to acknowledge and you need to work on. These are the things that you need to bring forth, and you're saying to yourself, honestly, why is this keep coming? What lesson am I not learning? Where is this connected into my physical body? Simple little thing. The way I do the Dantian work, which is below the belly button, is that you drop your awareness in that part of your body during meditation. Right? We're going to do a meditation in about 2 or 3 minutes, but I will guide you through it. You just drop your awareness there. And when you're in that space, you ask yourself some very simple questions. What am I feeling? Is it more than one feeling? Where do I feel it in my body? Is this the first time I ever felt this way? And if it is not the first time, you're echoing, you're looping. Go back to the original instance. It will teach you a lot as to why you created the belief system that's toxifying you now. Because a lot of it is, most of the time, it's an echo. Sometimes the echo is not this lifetime, it's multiple lifetimes. And if you sit and you do the simple meditation, Suddenly you will get, and part of the reason we focus on the dantian that's below the belly button, it's because in that location in our body, we have the sexual energy. All the reproductive organ and our sex organs are there. We also have issues that are related to will and power, either because we were victimized or we abuse power. It's the will chakra of the planet is in that very location, right? We also have the kidneys and the adrenal, which has to do with any perception of fear. So you have a triple whammy. And most of our problem relate to those three issues. And if you sit in that location and try to meditate and for 10 minutes a day, I guarantee within a month, you're going to be a different person. And you will call me back and say, Pierre, you were right. Because stuff will come up. Initially, it may be nothing. Because depending on the kind of level of self-deceit that you're dealing with. Because a lot of us have our head somewhere else. We have intellectually created a very thick armor to believe that everything is okay. But when you sit with it long enough, you will begin to realize ideas and concepts will wash over you out of nowhere, things that were not in your head. And all of a sudden you begin to have insight as to the real reason why you're doing it. And what I typically do the moment I see it, I make a change in my real life to align myself correctly and to tell the universe I got the message. You don't just receive it and write it down and then not do nothing. I actually create a change. And then I keep looking, and sometimes for days afterward, nothing. It feels completely at peace. No tension, no pressure, everything is okay. And then suddenly there is a new sense of something is not right. There's an uncomfortable, almost like, oh, I want to throw up. I'm not feeling well. And you sit with it for another few days, another concept, another idea that you were suppressing surfaces. Keep doing this. I started this process the end of May of last year. And I have to tell you, in the 7 months now leading to this, I have made the most spiritual progress that I have made in the past 10 years because of this. It has caused so many repressed and suppressed stuff that were not accessible to me when I was up here in the clouds. And therefore, when I go in the clouds now, the idea on now grounding faster. All right, enough talk. Let me show you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Take a very deep and slow breath. And as you inhale and exhale, deeply and slowly, allow the universal life force that permeates everything to enter into your lungs. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And let your soul and your awareness cascade all the way down to a point That's between your pelvic area. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Become aware of all suppressed and repressed fears. That you may be holding in that part of your body. Do not place any value judgment on any perceptions that you may have. Simply notice what you noticed and observe without having any objections. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Allow now the light of souls to blend completely with your body and remove all of these points, resistance, and pressure that you're feeling. Become aware of all suppressed or repressed sexual issues that you're holding in that part of your body. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Notice what you noticed. Noticed any pressure, sensations. Feelings that you may be perceiving in that part of your body. Is it hot or is it cold? Is it a narrow area or wide area? Is it a static point or is it moving? Or you're perceiving a color? Does it remind you of anything? What kind of feeling is this reminding you of? Is this the first time that you have ever felt this way? Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Take a very deep breath. And allow the light of source and neutrality to blend with all these points and dissolve them. Become aware of all repressed and suppressed power issue that you're holding in that part of your body. Simply notice what you noticed. And allow yourself to observe without having any objections. Is it hot or is it cold? Is it a pressure or pain? Is it moving or is it static? What does it remind you of? Is this the first time that you ever felt this way? Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Take a very deep breath and allow the benevolence and the kindness that permeates everything to blend with these points and remove all toxic and unhealthy energies. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Take a very deep and slow breath. And whenever you feel ready, you may open your eyes. All right. Thank you, everyone. Before we let everybody go, there was a list of various items that I had sent in that email of all the topics that we came up with collectively. What I'm going to do is that let's set up the third Sunday of every month as a time at 4 o'clock as a time for us to do the call. I will send an email with all of the dates for the year. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Remember what I had said, that January, February, we meet online, and then the third month, we create an event, an outside event for us to meet together. I will send all of the dates, and I will try to organize the topics that we came up with collectively and see if we can find, I don't want to be doing all the talking, find somebody, other people to be speakers so that I can actually sit down and learn something as well.
Yeah, a quick question.
Yes.
I don't know if there's a way in your email to share it on Facebook, or if not, we can maybe duplicate on Facebook. I can help you.
Yes. We can duplicate it on Facebook. I agree with you. I totally agree. On the Gaiaville, we should really send, the world should be participating in this.
Okay, so we will talk about it in class, actually. I'm going to head out, so we'll talk about it.
All right. We'll share it with the world. I'm going to follow it up with an email. Okay, everyone? Love you. Lots of blessings.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you soon.
Bye.
Namaste, everyone.
Love you. Bye.
Namaste, Diane.
Namaste, Janice and Ursula. Thank you, Pierre.
Bye. Thank you.